Namaste viewers. This is a continuation of income and employment theory. In this video clipping, we will see the equilibrium income determination and also the concept of multiplier. So, equilibrium income determination or the income and employment equilibrium. To understand that, there are certain basic concepts that you are supposed to know first. The concept of full employment and the various types of unemployment. So, full employment is a situation where all those who are willing to and able to work at the prevailing wage rate are employed. Let me repeat. Full employment is a situation where all those who are willing to and able to work are employed at the current wage rate. What is voluntary unemployment and involuntary unemployment? These two concepts are the concepts made by John Maynard Keynes. So, according to J.M. Keynes, the father of macroeconomics, voluntary unemployment is a situation where a part of the population are going to voluntarily stay out of work. That is, they may have the ability to work, the qualification to work, but then they do not wish to offer their labor or work at the prevailing wage rate. So, out of their own wish or voluntarily, they stay out of employment. So, they are said to be voluntarily unemployed. Then you have the involuntary unemployment. What is that? So, as the very word tells you, involuntary unemployment, it refers to a situation where the population part of the population may remain involuntarily unemployed. That is, against their will, they remain unemployed. They may have the willingness and the ability to work at the prevailing wage rate, but still they don't get the employment. So, they are involuntarily unemployed. So, according to Keynes, it is only the involuntary unemployment that the planners, policymakers or the government has to bother about. Because those who are voluntarily unemployed, they will not pose any problem. The policymakers have to only please the involuntarily unemployed population who are willing to work and are not able to find work, and they'll only have to be provided with the work. So, as a result, no economy will have this so-called full employment according to J.M. Keynes. So, he says there is a natural rate of unemployment that might prevail in all sorts of economies, or there will be a group of population who remain voluntarily unemployed. Take up the case of so many women in our nation and other nations. They may have the ability to work, but then they do not wish to work at the prevailing wage rate. Voluntarily, they stay out of the workforce. Yeah, so they voluntarily are unemployed. Fine. So, let me repeat. John Maynard Keynes, he feels that in every nation, there is a small percentage of population who remain voluntarily unemployed. Therefore, no nation will have this so-called full employment that the classical school claims. So, according to Keynes, full employment refers to a situation where there is absence of involuntary unemployment. Yeah, let me repeat. According to J.M. Keynes, as against the classical school of economics, full employment is a situation where there is going to be absence of involuntary unemployment. And what is this frictional unemployment and structural unemployment? Frictional unemployment is a situation wherein the population is going to remain unemployed due to a mismatch between the demand and the supply of labor in the labor market. So, This could happen due to lack of information. The people who are trying to offer their labor or who supply labor may very well know that there is enough job opportunity, but they simply do not know where. And similarly, those who are recruiting, who demand labor, they may also have that the job market has enough number of people and they will get eventually the people for the post according to the qualification, but it is just a matter of time. So due to non-availability of the labor market information, there may be a temporary mismatch between the demand for labor and supply of labor, so the post remains vacant. So for a friction of time period or for a small time period, there could be this frictional unemployment prevalent. Mostly this is said to happen in developed economies where people try to jump from one job to the other, where people shift from one job to the other. This is slowly coming in to even the developing nations. Structural unemployment is the unemployment which might happen due to technological change, which changes the entire structure of the economy. So if there is going to be any kind of industrial reform or agricultural reform, there could be a change of technology. So unless the population is going to update their knowledge, they become obsolete and they may be retrenched or they may go unemployed, right? So this could be due to the change in occupational structure or the technological change which could bring about such unemployment. So to avoid such problem, firms always give on-campus training for updating the workers' skills. So that way the retrenchment or the structural unemployment can be avoided. So these are the various kinds of unemployment. Now the question is whether the income and employment equilibrium, it is going to happen at a full employment or unemployment or over full employment. Where is this so-called equilibrium going to happen, right? So that is why you are exposed to such topics at this level. Now moving on to see the two equilibrium approaches. First we have the AD-AS approach and then we have the S and I approach. So you know that AD can be expressed as C plus I. In a two-sector economy, AD can be expressed as C plus I. Also, AS, which is nothing but the national income, can be expressed as C plus S. So if AD is going to be equal to AS at equilibrium, then C plus I will be equal to C plus S. So the C's will get cancelled. So what you have left is I is equal to S. So AD equal to AS or S is equal to I will be the alternate approach to AD equal to AS, right? So why is it that AD equal to AS or S is equal to I is what is the equilibrium, right? Why not some other situation? So we will see that with the help of a table. But before we move on to the table, the assumptions for the model first. So in microeconomics in class 11, you would have understood that there are basic assumptions for the model building, any kind of model building, whether it is going to be a demand or supply or production function. All along you would have understood for the economic model building, there are some basic assumptions. Even here, for the macroeconomic equilibrium or the income and employment equilibrium, there are certain basic assumptions. So the first basic assumption is that it is a two-sector model that we are discussing, that you are aware of. That's why AD is equal to C plus I, and investment is autonomous, that also you are aware of. The third one, look at that. Price level is assumed to be constant. Price, if you remember right, then price is an economic variable. It's a microeconomic variable. And when you read about the differences between micro and macro, one particular difference is that in macro studies, micro variable will be held constant. And in micro, the macro variable will be held constant, right? So price is a micro variable. You know that pricing theory is what is a micro theory. After all, what you read in demand and supply chapter, how the demand and supply in the market will determine the equilibrium price and the equilibrium output. So the other name for your micro theory is nothing but the pricing theory. So price is definitely a micro variable that is held to be constant in this macro theory. So price level is assumed to be constant. And then this is a short run equilibrium, right? The income and employment equilibrium, ADAS, S&I equilibrium is very much a short run equilibrium, because Keynes said that in the long run we're all dead. So all his theories are based on the short run. Fine. So let me repeat, it's a two-sector model. Investment is autonomous investment. Price level is assumed to be constant, and the equilibrium, it's a short run equilibrium, right? Now with this we will move on to the table which depicts the ASAD equilibrium. Now these are the basic details that you are aware of from the previous chapter and from the previous clippings. You see that income is increasing 0, 100, 200, 300, and the consumption, which is a function of the income and consumption, they are positively related. C also increases as income increases. S is also positively related to Y. S will also increase as Y increases, right? I, this is autonomous investment, so that remains fixed. Fine. And AD, again you know that it is nothing but C plus I. And AS is C plus S. Fine. So this is employment detail that is given to you, right? So you see that employment increases. As employment increases, income also increases. Rightly so, isn't it? Normally in the productive activity, as employment increases, yeah, we are talking about probably employment of resources. Employment of resources in the production activity. As employment of resources in the production activity increases, income is also bound to increase. Fine. So with that we will see the behavior of the AD and the AS. So you know that at zero income level there is a autonomous consumption which is funded by the dissaving. So this is 40, income is 0, this is 40, that is minus 40, right? And investment is 40. So AD, which is C plus I, will be 40 plus 40, that is 80. And AS is nothing but C plus S. So 40 minus 40, that will be 0. Fine. And at this level you understand that AD is more than the AS. So that's what is shown in the last column. And then the income, it is 100. At this level there is still an excess of consumption expenditure over the income, which is funded still by the dissaving. So your dissaving is to the extent of minus 20, right? Because you know that S is Y minus C. So 100 minus 120, that will be minus 20. And you have this fixed investment. So AD will be C plus I, so that will be 120 plus 40, that is 160. And then AS is nothing but C plus S, so that would be 120 minus 20, that will be 100. Fine. Still you see AD is much higher than the AS. Now at this level 200, when income is 200, consumption also increases, right, from 120 to 200. So income is equal to consumption, that is nothing but the break even or the zero saving point. So that's what you see, zero saving, and investment is still 40. So AD will become 240 and your AS will become 200, right? Now when income increases to 300 and then 400, what do you observe? Consumption is increasing, saving is also increasing, investment remains the same. Look at AD. AD is 320 and 400, right? 320 is more than 300. So till this employment level 30, right, and income level 300, you see there is an excess of aggregate demand over the aggregate supply. Now at income level 400, you observe that the aggregate demand is also 400, right? Because consumption is 360 and then the investment is 40, so 360 plus 40, that becomes 400. So you see that these two are equal. The planned aggregate demand, all along it's ex ante or the planned, right? So the planned aggregate demand or the total expenditure in the economy is equal to the planned income, or the AS. 400 is equal to 400, right? Now that is called as an equilibrium. Further, when the income increases to 500 and 600, you see that the consumption again it increases, savings also increases, investment remains the same. But look at this, the AD is 480 and AS is 500, and the AD is 560 at the next level, the AS is 600. So you observe that the AD is well controlled, or it is less than the AS. Total planned expenditure is less than the total planned income in the economy. Now the question is, why is it that AD equal to AS is what is called as a equilibrium, right? What happens when aggregate demand is going to be more than the aggregate supply? And what happens when aggregate demand is going to be less than the aggregate supply? Yeah, so we will see that in the next slide, right? So this is a diagram, right? We will quickly see the diagram and then we will move on to the explanation. Yeah, this is the simplest diagram there. You see AD, it starts from the y-axis. You know the reason, that indicates the presence of autonomous consumption and the autonomous investment. So starting from the y-axis, AD slopes up, indicating as income increases, expenditure also increases. And AD equal to AS, it is at point E, and that is the equilibrium, right? So that will be the equilibrium level of income. OY will be the equilibrium level of income that is shown along the x-axis. Fine. Now again, getting back to the question, why is this level AD equal to AS called as the equilibrium, right? What happens when AD is going to be more than AS? When AD is going to be more than AS, that is when the planned total expenditure is going to be more than the planned income. Yeah, that could mean the consumption in the economy is more. Fine. AD, you know, it is C plus I. So there is a possibility that the consumption expenditure is pretty high in the economy when AD is more than AS. So if consumption is more in the economy, there is a lot of demand in the economy for various products and services, then the stock with the producers is going to get depleted very fast. Stock level will fall because there is more and more demand, right? So when the stock level is going to fall, in order to build up the stock, the producers would love to produce more and increase the stock level. So the future planned production will increase due to fall in the stock. When future production, planned production increases, there will be more income and employment. Obviously, right? When more production is going to be undertaken, they will be employing more people and they will get more income. So then there will be more income and more employment. Now the problem was AS being less than AD, or AD being more than the AS. Now due to consumption being high, there is more demand and stock depletion, future production increases. That would mean more employment, more income, meaning AS increases. So this situation will change. AD will become equal to AS because AS is increasing. Fine. So AD will become equal to AS. So you see that when AD is more than the AS, then there is a chain reaction happening in the economy. Yeah. AD being more than AS will trigger off a chain reaction, and it will stop only when AD is equal to AS. When the planned expenditure in the economy is going to be equal to the planned income, that is the level of equilibrium. That is a state from which the economy doesn't want to change, right? And what happens when the planned expenditure is less than the planned income. That could be due to the consumption being not enough. So the consumption probably is low in the economy, that's why AD is low. Once more, you know, AD is nothing but C plus I. So maybe consumption is not enough, that's why AD is deficient or not enough. So when consumption is not coming forth, then the producers are going to be stuck with a stock. So they would be stockpiling. They are going to sit on a fat stock. So they will not take up risk and produce more. So future production will fall. Yeah, this is an uncertainty. So many producers may not take up a risk and produce more. So future production, they will cut it down. When they cut down the future production, then there is going to be a decrease in the income and the employment. Yeah, less production, naturally less employment, less income. So the problem was AS or the income, planned income was more. Right now you see, due to cutting down of the production, employment is going to fall, income is going to fall. So then the economy is back to this AD equal to AS. So when AD is less than the AS also, there is a chain reaction that is triggered in the economy, and then the economy will come to rest only when AD is going to be equal to AS. So only when the planned total expenditure in the economy is going to be equal to the planned income, then that becomes the equilibrium. Otherwise, there would be a chain reaction in the economy. So the equilibrium, if it is AD equal to AS, disequilibrium could be 2. The AD can be more than AS, which is a kind of disequilibrium. The AD can be less than the AS, which is another kind of disequilibrium. So when there is disequilibrium in the economy, automatically there is a chain reaction, and then the economy will come to a state of rest or equilibrium only when AD is going to be equal to AS, right? Yeah. Now, the similar concept, I told you, there is yet another approach which can be understood through the saving and the investment. Fine. So how do we understand that? We'll move on to the previous table. So maybe through the previous table, I'll explain to you the same concept, right? So yeah, this is the table. S is equal to I. If you carefully note, the income, consumption, saving, investment, AD, AS, all the details are same. Employment is also same. Only the remark column, it will show you the saving and the investment detail. In the other table, I had shown to you the AS and the AD. So just observe this. Income is increasing, consumption is increasing, savings is also increasing. Investment remains the same because it is the autonomous investment. And AD also increases, AS also increases. Fine. But look at this level of income till 400. There is 0, 100, 200, 300 till there. Fine. Yeah, you see that carefully. The observation is that the saving at all these levels is less than the investment. That's a comment given there. See, minus 40, this is 40, minus 20, 40, 0, 40, 20, 40, right? So at all these levels, the saving is less than the investment, or the planned saving in the economy is less than the planned investment in the economy. Fine. And when the income reaches 400, then that is when the planned saving is equal to the planned investment, or the ex ante saving is equal to the ex ante investment, or that is the realized or the ex post saving and the ex post investment level. At the same level, you observe that the planned aggregate demand is equal to the planned aggregate supply, or the ex post or the realized AD, fine, or the equilibrium AS/AD and S and I. That's what you see there. So S is equal to I, AD equal to AS at this particular level. After that, income is still increasing. Observe this detail. Saving, right, is 60 and investment is 40. Saving is 80, and investment is 40. That means at these two levels, saving is more than the investment. Fine. So why is it again S is equal to I is called as a equilibrium? What happens when S is less than I and what happens when S is more than I? Fine. So we will see this. Yeah, I think I have to get the right slide. Just a minute. Okay. So the reason for the disequilibrium, when the saving is going to be less than the investment, what would happen? When saving is going to be less than the investment, yeah, here it is. When saving is going to be less than the investment, then that could mean the population is actually spending a lot of money on consumption. You know that income is consumption plus saving. So saving is less, meaning more and more is used up for consumption. So maybe consumption is more. You already know that when consumption is more in the economy, people are putting up a heavy demand, stock will get depleted. So to build up the stock or bring back the stock, yeah, build up the stock is the right word. To build up the stock, the future production will increase because producers would love to build up the stock. They produce more, planned production will increase, that will increase the stock. When planned production is going to increase, what will happen to income and employment? That will also increase. So when income and employment is going to increase, right, there is a possibility when income increases, saving increases. So S will be equal to I. Problem earlier was saving being less. Now when there is increase in income, S can also increase. So S will be equal to I. So that is when the economy comes to a rest. Till then, the S being I causes a chain reaction till S is going to be equal to I. So that is the preferred state for the economy. There won't be any reaction after that. So that's the equilibrium. Similarly, when S is going to be more than I, that is when the planned saving is going to be more than the planned investment. That could mean consumption is not coming forth. Consumption is very small. That's why people are saving more, right? So when consumption expenditure is not enough, that is when people are not demanding a lot of products and services. Probably the stock is going to pile up in the economy. So the future production will decrease due to that. Producers would not take up a risk and produce more. So that would reduce income and the employment. So initially the problem was saving was more. Now when there is going to be a reduction in the income and reduction in the employment, people will cut down the saving, right? So eventually the saving will be equal to investment. So there is this chain reaction that happens when S is going to be more than I or when S is going to be less than I. So disequilibrium will lead to equilibrium. So finally S is equal to I will be the equilibrium in the economy. So AD is equal to AS, S is equal to I will be the equilibrium in the economy. So with that I wind up this clipping. In the future clippings we will see more about this equilibrium, disequilibrium and the next concept of multiplier. Keep watching. Thank you.